So this here is going to be a video on how to paint a Chaos Knight. So we built this kit bashed, and I'll put a link down below to where we built this out of a normal Imperial Knight. It's fully magnetized, so we can remove all of the side weapons. And each of the sponsons are also magnetized as well, and can be traded for thermal cannons, battle cannons, so forth and so on. We have all of the weapon and arm options. We have all of the canopy options. We can change on the fly depending on what loadouts we want. So if you like this, if you like the way this looks and how it's painted up, stay tuned and we'll show you how we got here from just, the gray tide. Otherwise than that, feel free to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And otherwise than that, stay tuned and we'll see how we painted him up. So the first step with painting our Chaos Knight is going to be to put primer. So we primed him with Chaos Black Citadel spray paint, and that gave us a nice black undercoat so that all the details will be dark. We don't have to worry about painting any of the little tiny details inside if the paint doesn't get into every crevice, because the primer will take care of that. So because we're going to paint this Knight up as a Knight Desecrator, and I do like the actual model that's on the website, we're going to do a lot of blues and the bone color. So the first thing we're going to do is add the blue, I think. So we're going to start with a base coat of Cantor blue, and we're going to put it on the carapace and the shoulder pads, some of the armor down and throughout the legs here. Just a thin coat, probably take 2 coats, and we'll do that now. We'll also get some of the weapons and other choices around it so that everything will match when we swap weapons. So we'll do some of that now. We'll meet back here in a few minutes. So this is our model after the first coat of Cantor blue. So as you can see, it's still a little bit dim. So we're going to take 2 coats. So we're going to do another coat here. Basically all the same things that we did. Once again, a very watered down layer. And we'll meet back here in a few minutes once that one is finished as well. So with our Cantor blue, don't forget we don't have to be super neat and tidy. We can make a pretty big mess on it. It is our first color. It's a base color. We're using it mixed with water or medium, whatever you like. It's almost 1-to-1. It's very, very runny, but it dries very, very nice. And that's why it's taken us several layers. We're painting over black, and because it's so watered down, there's not a whole lot of pigment in here. But it's pretty much just a watery, super watery paint. Just like so. And like I said, being neat and tidy isn't super important. It will dry nicely. It does look a lot wet, but when it dries, it looks like that. So our blue coat is now finished, and as you can see, it's nice and dry. It looks pretty uniform. So we're going to move on to our next color for now. So we're going to tackle the metallics all over this model, and there is a lot of them. So we're going to use a base coat of Lead Belcher, and what we're going to do is, in another watered down layer, probably not quite as watery as the last one was, we're going to do all of the metallics. They're going to include, the barrels of the guns. They're going to include all of the engine parts, all of the mechanics of the legs, all of the cords, the cabling, all of the spikes that the skulls are sitting on, and then all of that for all of our other weapon options as well, of which there are a lot of them. We'll do inside, we'll do all the keyboards and things like that where the pilot is holding, and then all of the other knobs and buttons and things on the top. So we're going to do all of that now, and then meet back here in a while when we get it all done. This is our model now that all the metallics are finished, and it was quite the exhausting task. So we did all of the weapons, the chain gun, the barrel, anything that would be metallic, we're going to intersperse it with some gold and some trim and stuff like that. We did all of the legs, all the machinery in the back of the legs, all going down the sides as well as the inside, and the little tidbits there on the end of the toes. We did the carapace as well, so a few of the little breather cords and things like that, but then basically all the metal work that goes here, as well as the back, all of the posts, all of the engine parts, and then all of that stuff there all the way up and underneath where the shoulders are, all of the chains that we added, the control panels that are inside the driver's thing, all of the railings, things like that. And then all of the weapons, so your thermal guns here as well as the tanks, the other piece for the base of the thermal gun, like so, as well as, you know, chainsword as well. We did just the trim, and then the gauntlet as well, all of the fingers and the thumb and all the cabling and the cords and everything like that. All that's done there. Battle cannon as well as the stubber on board. Then we did the launcher as well as all the little trim. All of the under carapace weapons, they're all done as well. And then the Icarus cannon as well, we did that also in our metallics. So that got us all caught up here. The next color we're going to start working on is going to be, we're going to use Rakarth Flesh. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to do a few key points. This shoulder pauldron here, as well as all the little skulls all throughout the model. So all that stuff's going to get done there. And then any other spots that we might want to add, mainly for the aesthetics of the color. So we'll do all those now. We'll meet back here in just a few minutes. So this is our model now that we finished with a few coats of Rakarth Flesh. So as you can see, we did the pauldron and then just all the skulls all over the place. Both arms, or both sides of the carapace have skulls. I had also put some down here next to the face. And then we did the horns and then the other horns. And then we also did the loincloth that's hanging from the bottom. So we did all those with our Rakarth Flesh base. So now before we do the trim, we got one more little tiny detail to do, and that is the eyes inside of the helmet here. So there are two eye spots there. You can just see them when the lighting is right, but we're going to paint those first with a brighter color before we do all the trim, because we're probably going to smudge there a little bit, and this will help get through that. So we'll probably use something like a Uriel yellow or something that stands out, and then maybe we'll even shade it. We're not sure. We'll see how much luck we have. So we'll do that now. We'll be back in just a few moments. So now that we've finished the eyes, and it's very difficult for me to show them to you because the lighting isn't quite perfect here, but we did do just inside there, which is why we left a bit of a mess on the armor. So now we're going to redo that as well as all the rest of the trim, and we're going to use some Retributor armor for that. So in order to do the trim, we're going to do the front piece of the armor, the pauldrons along the sides, this side here, the big face that we have here, all the armor trim all along the legs, as well as probably the crossbar holding up the cloth. We're going to do all the spike tips, just have them stand out. And then on all of the weapons, we have to do all of the trim along the edges as well as any other pieces. And same as like the missile launcher, we'll have to do the trim. So we'll have to do all the trim on all the extra pieces, and then anything we think is aesthetically nice if we put it gold based as well. So we'll do all that with Retributor armor, and we'll meet back here in a few moments. So now that we're finished with our Retributor armor trim, we're going to move on with just a couple more little details here. So we've got some fuel tanks on the side of the power sword here, chain sword, as well as on the side of the thermal cannons. So we're going to do those with Mephiston Red. We'll also pick out one or two of the little Blood Angel helmets here, some of the Space Marine helmets, just to add some variety here. So we'll do some of those, and we'll meet back here in a few minutes, just to add a little bit more color. So this here is our Knight now that we've finished with that Mephiston red. And what we're going to do now is start shading. So we've got two shades to do. So we're going to use some Seraphim Sepia. And what that's going to do is all of the gold trim, as well as all of the bone color, and all of the white. We'll also put it on the Blood Angel's helmet and anything that's red here. So that'll cover all of that area. Then we'll also use some Nuln oil, which we will put over all of the metallics. So all of the chains, all of the gun implements, all of the chains here, and then all of the machinery and hands for all of the rest of the Knight. So those two shades together will bring out some of the detail, and then we'll meet back here after, not forgetting to do all of the other pieces as well, the chain sword and the Gatling cannon and our rocket pods and our thermal cannons and so forth and so on. So we'll do all that now, and we'll meet back here in a few moments when all the shade is done. So this is our model now that we've added the Seraphim Sepia, and as you can see, we've turned the gold into a much more redder looking gold. We've also done the banner and things like that. So now we're going to take our Nuln oil, and we're going to start doing all of the gears and machinery and things like that in the back of the Knight, as well as all of the metallic pieces on all of the weaponry. So we'll do that with Nuln oil, and we'll meet back here in a few minutes. So this is our model now that the shades are dry, and we did both shades. So as you can see here, the weapons are all nice and dark now. There's some darkness coated in all of the recesses, and the details come out, but it is a little filthy on the top. So what we're going to do is brighten that back up with the highlight layer. Same thing with the gold. It's turned a lot more reddish, and as you can see in there, it's a bit more smudgy now, but the detail is there. So what we're going to do, using this as an example, is we're going to highlight the metal back up with Ironbreaker, which is your normal metal highlight. And then I think we're going to brighten the gold back up with some Rune Lord Brass over the top of this gold color. So we'll do that now on a very light dry brush, and we'll meet back here in a few more minutes when that's done, and we'll brighten it back up. So this is our model now that we've finished with the Rune Lord Brass, and all we mainly did was we smoothed out all of the shade and cleaned it all up nicely. As you can see on this weapon, now you've got a nice highlight, and then you've got the shading in the corners, and so it's like that for the full model. So with Rune Lord Brass done, like we said, we're going to move on to Ironbreaker, do the same thing on all the metallics. So this is our model now that the metallics are all finished, and as you can see, there's a nice metal sheen here on the gold, as well as on all of the metal on the side, same as on the other side, and we did that throughout all the parts. So what we're going to do now is start dealing with this shoulder pad here. We wanted this to be a lighter, whiter color, so we've got it shaded dirty the way we want it to. We're going to dry brush on a little bit more Rakarth flesh. And when we dry brush that, we're going to blend it in. So we'll still leave the dirt and grime in the corners, but the central part of the pauldron will be starting to light back up white. We'll probably do the horns and a few of the skulls as well, getting all that ready for our next color there. So we'll do that now, and then we'll meet back in a few minutes. And we'll probably, speaking of which, do the tabard as well, because that also has to get done. So we'll do those and meet back here in a little bit. So this is our model now that we've finished with the second coat of Rakarth flesh. And as you can see, we've really lightened up this banner sheet here We've also cleaned up a lot of the shoulder pauldron, leaving the stain and the shade down in the corners along the edges. We've gone over each of the little skulls here. We've brightened them up quite a little bit. And there were quite a few of them along the tops. We also got the horns, second set of horns, the skulls, the banner. So we did most of that already. And so now we're going to do one more highlight layer on a lot of these pieces. So anything that's bone or skeleton, we're going to put a dry brush of Screaming Skull on. And then depending on how that looks, I may put it on the pauldron. Not entirely sure, but I'm definitely going to put it on all the skulls. These sides, those sides, the other shoulder here. So we'll do those now, and we'll meet back here in a few minutes. But it'll be another, straight out of the bottle, very, very dry brush, and then just lightly brushed on. So we'll do that now. We'll meet back here in a moment. So here we are now that we've done our Screaming Skull. And as you can see, the skulls really stick out now. They stand out quite nicely, same as the horns. And the other skulls here, and the other skulls on the other pauldron. So we've got those pretty much lit up the way we want. So that takes care of that. We'll move on from here. Continuing with our highlight layer, what we're going to do now is take a little bit more of our Mephiston red, and we're going to dry brush over where we shaded these helmets, as well as this one back here, as well as the fuel tanks that we have here, as well as the rocket pods here. And what we'll do is put a dry brush of that Mephiston red over that, just to start bringing out that color again, and then we'll maybe put an edge highlight on that. So we'll be right back. Continuing with our little red Blood Angel helmets, what we did was take a little bit of Lead Belcher and Ironbreaker, and we did along the edges here of the respirators. Like so. Just add some detail there. We also did the one in the back here as well. And then we also took a little bit of the Ironbreaker here, and we just did a light dry brush over the teeth, the eyes, the ring in the nose. I'll probably come back and do this third eye here, just because we're going to use technical paints to light those up. We want the teeth to be a little bit white, and we'll probably do that large eye here as well. You can also use Stormhost Silver. That would also work. Just like that. So we'll come over and clean that up after we're finished with all of this stuff. So for our next step, we're going to take a little bit of Evil Sun Scarlet, and we're just going to put an edge highlight on all of these helmets. Just like that. Just like that. Just in a few places over the brow. And the other side of the brow. And along the mask here. Just like that. Just enough to give a little bit more standoutish detail there. So with our Blood Angel helmets pretty much finished, except for the eyes, which we'll do in a moment, we're going to move on to this Tau head here. So this one's going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to paint a base coat of ceramite white all over it. and then we're going to shade it to get the detail we need. So we'll do that now. Use a very watered down paint. So we'll keep at this and we'll be back in a few moments. So now that our white layer is dry on the Tau helmet, we're going to take a little bit of Agrax Earthshade, and we're just going to shade in all of the recesses here. Now our Agrax Earthshade is dry. As well, we added a little bit of Iron Breaker here to the little antenna, radial antenna here on the side. And we'll come back and hit these 2 points later. But we're going to move on to the Space Marine helmet here, which we're going to get a little bit of a dry brush of Calgar Blue. And we're lightly going to go over that. And now we're going to take a little bit of Abaddon Black, and what we're going to do is the neck guard of the Tau. Like so. As well as the neck guard of the Blood Angel's helmet at the bottom. And while we're at it, this is our chance to clean up the black spaces here that we didn't quite get to way back when we did our original metallics, and we'll clean that up with Abaddon Black as well, make it nice and dark. So we'll do the rest of that, meet back here again, but we're almost done. So back to our torso again. What we're going to do now is finish off these helmets. So with a very fine detail brush, what we're going to do is take a little bit of Mephiston Red or Evil Sun Scarlet, and we're just going to very carefully do the islands of the Space Marine helmet. And same thing on the other side. And then what we're going to do now is either take our Calgar Blue or take an even brighter blue, like say a Temple Guard Blue. And then we're going to do the eye lenses in the Blood Angel helmets. So we'll do those now. Meet back here again in a few minutes. So now that we're done with the standards and icons on the top, what we're going to do now is move on to the skull face demon thing here on the bottom. And we've got a few choices for that. we're going to take some Waystone green and give him some green eyes, and a little bit of Stone blue to cover over the third eye on the top here. So we'll start setting that up now. So these are great for making gems. Just like so. A little bit more on the other side. Like so. This might take a little bit more paint. So one more thing we're going to do, take a little bit of brass scorpion or some sort of coppery color and just go over some of the other metallic pieces that you want to stand out. Say these hydraulics here. Like so. Just add a bit more detail to the Knight. So we'll do a few of those, maybe some of these pistons, maybe some of these bulbs and buttons and bolts, just aesthetically cleaning it up a bit and just adding a bit of variety. So we'll do that now. We'll meet back here again when we're done. So this is the final product now. The base is done, everything is glued on, and everything is sealed. So what we've got here is our final product. So this is our fully magnetized Chaos Knight. We can remove all of the arms and replace them with other pieces. We have the removable door where the pilot sits, which can disappear. We have the removable canopy weapons, which can replace with the Icarus cannon. We have the removable undercarapace weapon, which we can put the Melta instead. And then our side piece can come apart. And we can trade it for battle cannons or so forth and so on. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you enjoyed painting it. I hope yours turned out as good as this one did. And if that's the case, please feel free to leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, or otherwise just let us know that you're out there. Otherwise than that, I'm glad you tuned in this far, and hopefully we will see you at the next painting video that we do. Otherwise than that, cheers!